Hi, this podcast is brought to you by Ignition from Inductive Automation. It's Gary Minchell. I could blather on about Internet of Things and technical stuff, but I find that a lot of people prefer not so much Internet of Things and more some of the other reading that I do. And be warned that in the last couple of weeks I've read four books on personal productivity or enhancing um, enhancing your personal life or your relational life. The first book that I read got an advance notice about it, said in a webcast that was led by the author. I really love the author. It's Dr. Henry Cloud, great author. Boundaries, you may have heard of, Boundaries for Leaders, Necessary Endings, which was very meaningful in my life. This distills a lot of his other learning and from his practice. He always goes back to his practice and his consulting practice with executives and takes real world examples and then real research. So it's research-based knowledge applied in a real world. Always great. This is The Power of the Other, the startling effect other people have on you from the boardroom to the bedroom and beyond. I bet the publisher put the bedroom part in there. They got to sell books, and what to do about it. But it's a study of your relationships and how other people can affect you, and how you can then, either react to that or maybe you can be that other person. But essentially, we've all been there. You've had a job where, man, there's a team and you click and you just enjoy going to work and everything is fantastic and you get a lot of stuff done. There's enthusiasm and you're all friends to one degree or another. And it's just great. You just enjoy it. I've had some of those jobs. In my career, I've had this opportunity to have a large number of jobs. Not always because I chose it. Well, only once was I fired, but I was laid off a couple of times. Economic downturns in the 80s were just killers. So I've experienced a lot of different bosses, a lot of different kinds of positions, a lot of different kinds of industries. And, you have some work atmospheres. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's colleagues, maybe it's clients, customers. I don't know. It could be all kinds of things where the power that others have on you is so negative and destroying that it hurts your health. So it hurts your relationships at home, it hurts relationships at other organizations, and maybe, I've had a couple of situations where I was under such great stress, even though I look like I handle it pretty well, that it developed into some health problems that I'm taking pills for. So, oh joy. But anyway, so there's all kinds of stuff. I've experienced the power of others. You've experienced the power of others. And so Cloud starts off, well, it doesn't exactly start off, but I'm going to start off with an analysis of his book by looking at Navy SEALs. He had an in-law who was a Navy SEAL and introduced him into the Navy SEAL culture, if you will. And he talks about, the power of the relationship amongst the SEALs. It starts off with a story about training, and you're getting down to the last of the training. You do this huge swim in the cold water and all kinds of stuff, and you just get to the point where your body just can't go. Physically. These guys, I've seen some of them. You talk about hunks. They're so strong and flexible and everything, but they have pushed themselves to the absolute limit at the end of the training. They've already passed everything. One last thing to go, and he's talking about his acquaintance and a friend, and his acquaintance had made it to the beach and was standing there exhausted but thrilled, and his buddy, you always have a buddy in the SEALs, and his buddy is trying to make it and has hit that wall, and he's within sight of the beach. I don't remember how far you swim, but I think it's like 25 miles. It's like forever. So his buddy has just hit it. His body just will not work anymore. He tries to move his arm up, and it just doesn't move. He just hit that point, and he looks up on the beach and sees his buddy who just goes like this and says, "No, you can make it." And son of a gun, he did. Just that encouragement gave him that power to finish the swim and get into the program and go on to a career. So he goes on to talk about about three things that SEALs know, and we can all use, but you find yourself in some situation. If you're a SEAL, that probably means you parachuted behind enemy lines somewhere and you're in mortal danger. But for the rest of us, maybe it's just some other kind of danger. So you land, and the first thing you want to know is, where am I? You need to get your bearings and figure out, okay, you've been trained to know what everything looks like and where your objective is and all that stuff and where the lines are. And so you just kind of adjust yourself, where am I? Where is the enemy? I better know where the enemy is because, in their case, they shoot at them. So where's the enemy? And then where's my buddy? If I can't find my buddy, as we used to say, you're in deep yogurt. Your buddy has your back. Your buddy gets you out of trouble. It's a bit of an analogy he uses in the business world and the personal world too, of what he calls a fourth corner relationship, and he defines three kinds of relationships that are dysfunctional as a kind of like three corners of a rectangle, and a fourth corner is the good one, the beneficial relationship. So your buddy has your back. Your buddy helps you get out of trouble. That's the important part of the buddy. So the dysfunctional kinds of relationships, and you may have been in something like this or may have experienced this personally, I don't know, maybe I've gone through all three of the dysfunctional ones. The first type of thing is when you're isolated. You feel all alone, nobody around, I'm just all by myself. Engineers probably could be that way, or artists, or somebody who does a lot inside their head can be that way. So so that's one kind of dysfunctional thing where you really feel isolated from the other, and there's no real connection at all. And the next is, well, you're feeling bad about not having a connection, so you reach out to a connection, but that connection is such that they make you feel inadequate. You know somebody like that? I know people that seem to have a career of making you feel inadequate because I'm so good. I'm athletic, I can parasail, and I can ski, and I can do this and this and this, and I got 5.0 and a 4.0 scale in school, and all that kind of stuff. There are people that just make you feel inadequate. And if you're in a connection or a relationship like that, then that's dysfunctional. It's not helpful to you. The third one is you reach out for solace, and that's a common occurrence. People like that. Maybe you've been there, where I don't feel connected, so I reach for a connection. Maybe the connection is an enabling person who enables my problems, whatever it might be, an addiction or whatever. And then addiction is another one of these connections where it might be alcohol, drugs, sex. And I've known people, with all of those problems, some of whom came out of it, and I'm so proud of them that they were so strong and were helped to come out of it and go to the next one. So in the fourth corner is the real relationship, and he spends a lot of the book talking about this real relationship, this fourth corner, what you should strive for, what you should look for in somebody you're connecting with, maybe something you should look for to be that kind of person to connect with other people. So we'll do a little bit here on this fourth corner relationship, and I'm just checking all my notes here just to make sure. One thing before you get to the fourth corner, the power of this is research. Let me go back to the research before I get into his observations. The research is, if you're in a really good relationship, it actually makes you perform better. If your connections at work are like the first ones I discussed, where you're really strong and you're connected and you're all helping each other and all that kind of stuff, then the performance of the group, your own performance, the performance of the group is going to improve. And that has been researched and validated, that you actually have better mental performance in that kind of a group. I thought back to my freshman chemistry class in engineering school, and there were 700 people that graded on a curve, so I got a C. But anyway, one of the three tests was based on three tests, and one of them I actually sat down with a small group by maybe 5-6 of us, as I remember. That was a long time ago, but we studied as a group, and I actually hit A on the curve. in that test. So, so it's a power of the group. So the fourth corner connection, and these are things you might look for. This kind of connection fuels you. It gives you fuel. It gives you more energy, and you can relate to that. It also gives you freedom. That connection gives you the freedom to try things, to do things, and whatever. There's a connection that requires responsibility from you. So not only do they give you the freedom to do something, they require responsibility back. One of my pet peeves and stuff that I read and listen to friends and so on is they're really big about rights and freedoms. They're not so big on responsibility. Okay, they go together. And a true connection requires that. A true connection defangs failure. So you did something and you failed. You made a bad decision, you trusted somebody you shouldn't have, something like that, and you go to your trusted connection and they help you get through that. I've been there before. Yeah, we all do it. It happens. Get over it. You'll work through it, and you'll just go back and you have to pick up the pieces and do it right the next time. That kind of sort of help. There's a connection that challenges and pushes you. You need some of those. I need it. I need that little push now and then. The people that keep me going. Another one builds structure for you. Some of us don't have structure, so maybe I meet with a connection every week for breakfast. That gives me some kind of a structure to look forward to, or maybe some other structure that they give me. There are 8 of these, and this is a 7th connection that unites instead of divides. A good connection is going to bring you together. They're going to bring the rest of you together, kind of like the example of a good team. When you're all connected and you're united, but the bad connection is one that's divisive, and it tends to divide everybody up on the team or in the company or in your committee or whatever it might be. And so the one that unites is the one you want to do. And finally, a good, healthy connection is trustworthy. Trustworthy means they do what they say they're going to do, essentially. Their word is good. They say they'll do something, they do it. They don't talk behind your back. They don't, any of that kind of stuff. You know what trust is, and that's what it is. So the power of the other, I really highly recommend reading the book. It's fantastic. All of Henry Cloud's are good, and if you haven't really been introduced to him, he'll lead you on a path toward being healthy emotionally and mentally if you follow his advice and digest and internalize all the cool stuff he does. So anyway, this is one of my leadership personal development podcasts, and this is Gary Minchell, and this is brought to you by Ignition from Inductive Automation. Sorry, too many I's. Ignition from Inductive Automation brings you the podcast from Gary Minchell. Good day.